Hi, Diamond.
Mm-mm.
Nope, she's not in yet.
No, I think-
Yep, she's a
she's
Zoom
here.
user.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Is there any chance you can put your camera on, Diamond?
Oh, there she
You're
is.
fabulous. Thank you.
Thank you.
So just want to introduce ourselves if you can see us. I know it's sort of, let me pull my chair up a little bit. We're both using the same camera. So I'm Marcia Goodman Hendershitz. I represent District 2 City Council.
Hi, and I'm Johanny Cepeda Freitas, so I'm City Council President. Welcome, Diamond.
Thank you.
So I'm very excited. I think both Johanny and I are that you want to be appointed to the Youth Commission. So we just wanted to know what you know about the Youth Commission, what your interest is.
My interest, when I first joined, when I applied for the Youth Commission, I wanted to help the things going around in the community. If
Uh-huh.
that makes sense. There's a big gun issue, violence and fighting, and that's just something I really want to help change.
On camera.
Oh, and what would you see, because that's a area that I know both Johanny and I are very concerned about, and we think it's important to have the youth perspective. What would you see maybe that would be helpful in changing that?
I think that one way we could help change it is it's talked about a lot.
Mhm.
It's when you talk about it to kids my age, it's more like brushed off, if that makes sense. Kids more brush it off because from what I see, you're not really in shoe, if that makes sense.
I'm sorry, what was the last thing you said?
Like you're not really in our shoes, if that makes sense. If it was
Yeah, okay, go on.
if it was someone that was like in our age that's been through what we've been through,
Mhm.
if kids would more likely take that seriously rather than an adult speaking to them from things that they've been through that are quite similar but not exactly line up nowadays.
Yeah, so you have to help come up with the solutions because it's your reality. Let me just ask you, because we had that brutal stabbing near Central High School. What were the discussions among the youth when that happened? That someone got murdered there.
That happened, people were talking about it. It was more about people talking about, oh, this is going to happen after because this happened, and more of people trying to fight back, and rather than letting things play out, they wanted to do something themselves.
Right.
It was more like kids my age, they don't always feel comfortable talking to the adults around them.
Mm-hmm.
Why?
Let's say if I were to go to a school counselor and talk to the counselor about something I think is going to happen, you're not always going to be 100% sure that people around you won't know you were the one that told. And that you're not 100% sure that the counselor won't tell your parents that you were involved with this or things that around that sort.
So it sounds like there's a lack of trust.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry, go ahead, Marsha, because I was.
Yeah, look, a follow through, because I think we're going to just have a dialogue back and forth
Yeah.
here. I guess what I'm looking at, is the Youth Commission would serve a role in building that trust. How do you see that happening, and how do you see yourself playing a role in that?
People my age are more comfortable talking to people their age.
Okay.
I'm going to feel more comfortable talking to another 15-year-old kid.
Right.
Because we're the same age. I could talk to you freely. I want to be that person that people can feel like they could come to and talk to. If they don't feel comfortable talking to an adult, okay, that's fine. You could talk to me and I'll do the rest.
Right.
If that makes sense.
Oh, that perfectly makes sense.
So it almost sounds that, and I don't know if this will be the role of the youth commission, or maybe it can help create maybe some type of peer mediators or peer counselors. What do you think?
I think that the youth commission could help instill things like that, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And just a little bit to give you some background, Diamond, I've worked for years as a social worker, and there was actually in Reading School District a very vibrant peer mediation program where the youth were trained on how to resolve violent situations. They did an excellent job, and somehow or another, that fell off the radar screen for the school district. And I'm wondering whether the youth commission, listening to what you're saying, can advocate for, hey, we need to put this back in place in some way, because it really did work well. And it wasn't, the adults weren't involved, and it was the youth helping other youth solve problems.
And Simon, while we are interviewing you for the youth commission, I need to ask you a question regarding your experience at the Reading High School. So recently I've been talking to some parents, or rather parents have been approaching me, telling me and showing me video footage of like the fights that happen amongst the young women in the bathrooms. How can we prevent that from happening? And yes, how do we stop that? Or how do we let adults know that something's brewing amongst young people, and that they're gonna go end up in the bathroom fighting? Because it was very disturbing, the two videos that I've watched.
I have seen some of the videos that happen, and it's disturbing. I think that we could change that because kids, they don't know other than if I have a problem with someone, we fight. That's simple. That's just the way it's been about. More kids, if you talk about how you feel, you're seen as lesser than or scared, and nobody wants to be seen as scared or can't defend themselves. If people knew that it was okay and you weren't going to be mocked or made fun of for wanting to go about your differences in another way other than fighting or arguing, then that would slowly change.
Yeah, and I think what you're talking about, it's like the norm is to fight rather than looking at how you can resolve something peacefully. And so I'm not sure where the youth commission fits in and being an advocate, but it could be something that you could bring to the table, because they need to set their priorities about where they're going with their projects.
And I have another question for you. Do you think the pandemic has increased or intensified the violence happening within the schools?
Most
Do you
definitely.
see, and I'm so sorry, do you see more of it now than before the pandemic?
Yes. What I believe happened was when people were in the pandemic, they weren't face to face with people. So all of that animosity that was created during quarantine, they couldn't like face it then and there. All of it was virtual. You weren't able to talk to someone physically. So all of that was just held onto. And then once we were all put back in school, it was all let go and set right there.
Yeah, it's like a volcano waiting to erupt, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. And we don't want to sound hopeless, because I've also seen things happening when you direct everyone's energy in the right. So it may be something, and I know I'm not appointed to the youth commission, but maybe there's some time I could come to have a dialogue, because there's some really good things we have to make youth to be taking the lead. So we have some general questions for you. How about attending meetings regularly? Does that work for you?
Yes.
Okay.
Do you know when they're held?
I don't, but my schedule allows me I'm in charge of my schedule. So I can make time and space for things that I choose to.
Great.
First Tuesday of the month at 6 o'clock.
Did you hear that, Diamond?
It's the first Tuesday of the month at 6 p.m. and it's here in City Hall, but we can get a Zoom link out if you have trouble with transportation. So we can do it both ways.
I can attend them. Most definitely, I can attend them.
Do you have any questions for us at all?
Yes, I do. As a part of the youth commission, what would it be like more likely showing up for meetings, and then what would be the follow-up after?
It's for the commission to decide what their focus areas are, and then people get assigned tasks to do to follow up with it. So it's not only just sitting and talking and attending meetings, it's actually taking some actions outside of the meeting to make some kind of progress, whatever that issue might be, whether it's youth violence, environmental issues, whatever they decide they want to follow up with.
Or even activities. I know the Youth Commission has put on like a Halloween activities, for example. And I know that's coming, that's right around the corner. And also like, you're the voice of the youth. So you communicate to us, the city council, to figure out what it is that we can do legislatively to support the work of the Youth Commission. So if you identify problems and potential solutions, and we can help kind of like get those addressed with your help. So you're like a junior counselor almost, I think.
Yeah, and I think the other thing that we'll need to talk about on city council is, because we each have someone appointed from our district, when you can start attending meetings with us to be able to be with your respective counselor. Yeah, to learn about the legislative process. Yeah.
We would love to see that. Yeah,
I really think we should
I
make
think
that our
we
New
should.
Year's resolution, that
Yeah.
has to start happening.
that'd be great.
Yeah.
How did you find out about the Youth Commission, Diamond?
The summer, I was a part of the Mayor's Summer Initiative program, and it was brought up and it really interests me. So I signed up for it. I went to, I believe it was a clerk's office.
Mhm. Great, that's awesome. 'Cause were you in that group when I got to speak to?
Yeah,
Okay. That's why when I saw the name Diamond, I'm like, oh, that name looks familiar. But okay, good. I'm so glad you followed up. That's excellent. Good job.
thank
Good.
you.
Any other questions for us?
Not at the moment.
Okay, so what happens that is really cool for you is that our next council meeting, we vote on appointments. Now, the one thing might be, depending on where you're at, is you could join us on Zoom and watch your name be brought forward and watch yourself be voted on, which is really sort of, I know the first time I was appointed to a board, that was really a neat
Mhm.
experience for me as an adult. So I'm thinking you might like to be able to see the vote being taken.
Yes.
Okay?
Good. Well, thank you for your commitment, Diamond, and your willingness to serve. We appreciate that.
Thank you.
We're gonna keep you posted, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Definitely, you're always welcome to attend our city council meetings. You can either do so virtually, you can do them in person. You can watch on Facebook if you have access to social media. So there's numerous ways you can listen in on meetings or be present.
Is it something like live on like something like YouTube?
It's
It goes to YouTube the next day. It's live on Facebook and it's live on Comcast if you have cable.
All
And
right,
then it's
thank
also Zoom.
So hopefully, and Shelley, if you could send her out a link to next Monday's meeting, so
Yep,
she can,
I made that note. So we'll
Okay.
send that link out.
So will the time for the meeting be in the link, like in the email?
Yes, that should all be in the email. It's at it'll be at 7 PM on Monday next week.
All right, thank you.
thank you. It was great meeting you via Zoom, maybe sometime in real time, okay?
Hopefully, have a nice one.
You too, Diamond. Thank you. We'll keep in contact. And we'll see you soon.
You too. Thank you. Bye.
Okay, so we have, is this a reappointment?
No, these are both new youth commissions.
Okay.
Let me see the next one. Janet. How do you pronounce her name?
We can ask her.
Yes,
Okay, you ready to join us?
Ms. Aponte.
Ms. Aponte, if you could turn on your camera so we can see you. And we are struggling, we have to be honest with you. I'm Marcia,
Janet Davies.
from City Council. I have an interesting last name, Goodman Henderson. People never want to pronounce that right. And Johanny, you want to introduce
Yes,
yourself?
hi, so I'm Johanny Cepeda Freitas. I'm the council president for city council.
So we need a little help with how to pronounce your first name.
It's Genevieve in English.
So in Spanish, it says Janet Davies. No,
Yes.
Janet Davies. And the navies in English.
Yes.
So were you listening to the other interview and you saw sort of the things we were talking about?
Yeah.
Okay, so we wanted to start out with why you were interested in the Youth Commission, what sparked your interest?
What sparked my interest was that I was also in the youth initiative mayor's program from during the summer, and Ken was talking about it, and it kind of sparked my interest because I really want to help out the other youth in like helping out the community. So that's like something that I would love to do.
Okay, so what do you know about the Youth Commission at this point?
This point, I wasn't listening so much because it was like I didn't want to go into like someone else's meeting like business. So what I know about it is that they like making little activities for the youth and finding ways to help the youth and try to communicate with the youth to fix things.
Okay, we'd asked before we were speaking with Diamond about what do you think were some of the priority problems the commission should focus on?
I think some of the problems we should focus on would be the violence mainly, and finding ways to communicate with the youth around us.
And what do you see when you're in your community, things that are relevant to the violence, things that really concern you?
I see like in my like the part that I live in Reading, I don't see as much, but like when I'm at school, I see a lot of like threats, I see a lot of bullying, I see a lot like chaos mainly.
Yeah, and it's important to be honest about it too, because we don't solve problems if we're not honest about where it stands.
True.
So, have you ever been involved in any organizations before?
No.
Okay. So you'll be sort of learning together with your fellow commission members.
Yes.
Very good. Okay, Johanny.
How did you enjoy the summer youth initiative?
I really loved it because it was something that I normally don't do. So it's something to get out my comfort zone.
And what was the top thing that you enjoyed the most, if you can name it?
Possibly like going to like the colleges, seeing the opportunities that they have around our city and everything. That was something that I really loved.
Then my next question, if and when appointed to the Youth Commission, what are you hoping to get done?
To be honest, I'm just hoping to like help other youths and find a way to like make our community something that people will want to stay instead of leaving because of the violence and everything else.
Right.
Any ideas on how to tackle the violence?
Possibly trying to listen to the youth and like trying to see if there's any ways that we could stop it before it happening.
Do you see it at school before it actually happens?
Normally how we see it is that if there's like a group of people all running to a certain spot, that's how you know something bad's gonna happen inside of the school.
How do you feel in your gut when you see that happen?
Wait, I didn't understand you. What?
Like, how do you feel inside when you see something like that happening? You see like a group of people running to an area and it might be a sign that something's erupting. How do you feel?
Me personally, because I do deal with a lot of issues, I would feel like I would get anxiety and like you would hear all this yelling and you would be hearing people saying fight, fight, fight. And there's like some people that enjoy that, they would go run to it. And then there's some people that get scared because there's people in the school that have weapons and have a lot of things that people could,
Yeah, it's really good to be able to be scared because then sometimes you can protect yourself. You find that the youth have people that they can talk to, that they can trust about this?
To be honest, no, because normally, like, if I had a problem my own, I would not tell no one, especially like adults, because we would be scared to tell adults of if something bad's gonna happen because how we call it is that's snitching.
Right,
even though,
exactly. Yeah,
yeah. And then you can get scared for someone to hurt you, because that's how it normally goes. You snitch, someone can hurt you without you even knowing.
How do we fix that? How do we build trust between young people and adults?
Trying to find a way to communicate, like trying to find like maybe activities, like how yesterday you guys had the Puerto Rican parade and everything, and the community kind of came together. Something like that sparks people's interest. We could do that with the youth. Like I know a lot of people like playing, let's say, basketball. Like we could probably do an activity at the park and try to spark people's interest and talk about like things concerning about the youth.
So using a fun activity to talk about some of these issues.
Yeah, basically like maybe like something about like gun violence or violence in general, but make it as a game though.
right. I know exactly what you're saying. That's been done before. It's just a matter of the youth taking the leadership to make it happen.
Yeah.
So would that be something you'd bring to the youth commission, your idea on that?
I would bring a lot more ideas because I do have a lot of friends that have a lot of ideas. So they could tell me and I could talk to other people around my school to see if there's anything that would interest them and bring it to the youth commission.
That's perfect. That's the way you need to go.
No, it really saddens me. I mean, I think it saddens all of us that these are the experiences that a lot of young people, such as yourselves, are having at school, because school should be the safest place for you. So I am looking forward to the youth commission's input in terms of how do we really help young people within schools? How do we help the adults build these trusting relationships so that we can prevent the violence?
I have to say something that saddened me is back about 15 years ago, we had the same problems and we had some plans and they were working, and then everyone forgot about them, and they involved engaging the youth, not through a commission, but we still had them involved. And so it seems like people have generational forgetting, that they forget what's worked.
So we need to revisit what's worked.
Yeah, we really, and it all involved the youth. It all involved the youth being the leaders and, being the problem solvers. So,
Any questions for us, John Avis?
No.
okay, so let me talk about the process. The council, 7 of us, and we have our formal meetings the 2nd and 4th Mondays of the month. So it will be this next meeting on next Monday at 7 o'clock. That we have a long agenda, but we will be voting on the youth commission appointments. So that Michelle here will send you a link to the meeting. Because the one thing I think is neat is when you actually see your name being read out to be voted on. And we can even ask you to make comments if you want to at the beginning of the meeting. If, we can send you the link for when public comments come. So we really want you to be part of the process to see how we work. And we've also talked about the idea of having youth commission members come into the meetings and sit with the council person that represents the district that they live in to learn more about how our process works.
Yeah, we should do the swearing in at council chambers during our meeting.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, in person, right? That would be great.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you also you have to take an oath to this position you're going to be serving in.
All right, that's fine.
So it'll be a great experience. So we look forward to speaking to you soon. Best wishes. Thank you for your interest in serving.
All right.
And you'll hear from us very soon. Remember to log in on Monday, okay?
All right. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
If you want to.
Yeah, you can come in person. It's up to you, whatever is easier.
At what time in person?
7.
7 p.m.
All right. This upcoming Monday?
Yes, that is the 26th.
But just to let you know, we'll be doing a lot of business before we get to the point that we vote on. So you will get to see all the nitty gritty of what goes on in city government. Before, we vote on the resolutions for the commissions at sort of towards the end of the meeting.
All right, that's fine. I'll see if I can make it. If not, I'll join in Zoom.
Okay, sounds good.
All right, thank you so much.
Have a great week. And thank
Bye.
you for applying.
Take care.
Bye-bye. Great to meet you. That's awesome. So how many more vacancies do we have then for these commissions?
It's a lot.
Yeah,
We have
thought so.
had a lot of turnover.
Because they're aging out.
I think-
or people moving away, it's, you get them hooked in and then they beyond. none of
because when we
their-
started, it was during the pandemic, right? A lot of
Yes,
it was
'cause the first
virtual.
bus. and
Yeah.
was virtual. We currently have 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 current active members. And everybody else on this list is
It's
either
super
moved
district,
or
right?
quit. They don't respond to me. Or,
So we gotta, yeah, so we have to move on to with the next, right? So it says here 2 openings.
2 openings in that specific district.
That's my district, right? Or not?
Wait. These 2 applications pending, this is it?
That was them.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
so they're done.
Oh, District 2 looks like 1. Wait a minute.
So there's 2 in District 1, 2 in District 3, 1 in 4, 1 in 5, and 2 in 6.
I don't have any.
There's 2 vacancies in District 6,
Okay.
because Genesis is part of District 6.
She's now the moderator because John Zabala has stepped
Oh.
away. So Genesis is
So who's the chair?
Brandon.
Random. Okay, so then we need to fill in those.
Yep. So currently active, it's Beatriz Gonzalez. Oh, and Nehemiah. So yeah, you're right, Marcia. We do have 2 from District 2. So it's Nehemiah and Beatriz. And then is Brandon and Sayoni. And that's it. It's the very last page of everything, the entire package.
Yeah, okay. Very much in the back.
So Kylie has been unresponsive and her term is now up. Same with Morgan. Nehemiah is in and out depending on his schedule.
Schedule.
Her name was, you pronounce that, Honey. She has moved. So has Wilma. That's Scotty Butler. He aged out. We have Brandon Sayoni, Serenity also moved. Jose moved. So we have, oh, and Rogelio.
I know
Who's
Zay
active.
too, that's right.
So because
Rogelio's out too?
No, Rogelio is still active. I
We
didn't.
gotta take
I
something
didn't go
out,
down.
yeah.
So these I leave in here just so I don't lose track of
Yeah, right.
who's who and, but
Mhm.
as they come in, names will be replaced.
Okay. So what's on here is active in terms of what's missing. 2 in District 1, right?
Yes. Yep,
2
so
in
that's
District
what's
3,
missing.
1 in District 4, 1 in 5, and 2 in 6.
Yeah.
That's a lot, okay. So we'll have to,
Yeah, it is a lot. Every time I feel like we're making progress. we lose
And that's
one
why it's
day.
hard for them to sustain any efforts because they're,
I feel like we're
membership.
constantly training them.
yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. Got it, all right, so maybe, youth commissioners can keep doing those videos that we can share, maybe it needs to be brought into the schools.
Yeah, so they are gonna ask, and I put in the request for the 2023 budget for funding for
Mhm.
next year, so they can buy the video equipment they need to make videos without
Nice.
relying on Christian, so that they can make them
right.
and
Yeah,
just
because they were
post
doing
them
good
right
when they
away.
were on their
Yeah.
own at first.
Yep, yep.
We'll
So
talk about
they
it
would,
Tuesdays or
let's
something.
talk about it Tuesdays. So they want to get some equipment for that. They want to get some like giveaways for when they do go to the events to interact so that
Nice.
so that the people will approach them, you
Yeah.
want this
They
free
need
thing, you
branding.
have to talk.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
any brand.
exactly.
They're getting business cards.
Okay.
They now have a banner. So we're getting them organized.
Are they gonna be in the Harbor Day Parade or not? They're not that organized.
We haven't got that information yet. I
Okay.
know
Now
they're
that they have a banner,
They were
probably should,
supposed to
right?
be working with the mayor's office to do the Halloween on Penn
Mhm.
again this year, so.
Yeah, because they did it last year.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They wanted
Brandon
to-
is gonna be the point person from the youth commission.
And they did such a nice job.
Yeah.
It was so well attended last. Nice event. All right, so now we,
Okay, so
Madam Chair.
we have our appointment recommendations. I think we know where we stand with those, with the two ladies that we interviewed.
Mhm.
Pending application memo, which is on page 4.
So this is the list that I give you every meeting, just so
Right.
you can see what applications are pending and where they are in the process.
And I feel like a
And if
lot
we
are still
can-
getting told, yeah,
Can we go through these just
Sure.
quickly
Yeah,
so we
yeah.
know like how aggressive we need to be in
Yeah.
filling these, right?
So the Citizens Initiative Commission, we have,
And
Mrs. Butler.
vacancies.
Yeah, she's the only one who's applied. Other people have said they're interested, but I never get any applications from them. So we can't really do anything with that until we have more people. The Planning Commission.
Question, if somebody's serving on school board, can they also be on the Citizen Initiative Commission?
Yes,
you
as long
rather
as they're not a city elected official. So although the district is
Ah,
located in the city, it's
okay.
Not
not,
the same role.
it's not a city position. So yes,
Then as far as the planning commission, can we speak about this real quick? Because I remember at the last meeting,
yeah. So this is an interesting scenario that we haven't seen happen, where we have more people applying than what we have eligible spots. And so we have to figure out what is the best way to make a decision between two candidates, only because of the issue of residency, that neither of them are residents of the city, and we can only have two non-residents. And I want to just brainstorm what our options would be on how to move forward. Since I want people to be able to interview the candidates the way that we did, Johanny. Because
agree.
I think you need to hear what they have to say and such. That's going to be my thought on it, is that we do interview them again. I know that's hard on the candidates though, but I don't know we have any choice.
so right now, so it's a 7-member board and
Right.
only 2 non-residents are allowed.
Right.
correct. And right
Okay.
now it is Lee Olson and another architect named Robert Conklin.
That are currently
That are
serving as
currently-
non-residents.
And
Correct.
Ronald's term expires, he's still going to stay on. He's not ready to be,
When does he expire?
Mr. Conklin, he was just reappointed not long ago.
okay.
So his term won't expire. I think it's 3 years or 4 years from
So
now.
the ones that are listed on here,
Those are the applications that I have pending.
we haven't interviewed yet.
You have interviewed Lee and Rodney.
Right.
And they're not-
They are both non-residents
we can
and
only select one of these 2.
correct.
Right.
I don't recall Ann's
Mhm.
residency status, but she never came out of the mayor's office.
We
And
maybe
Wayne-
need to check that before.
Yeah,
we
I can go
interview.
get my,
Yeah,
I can go get my folder. Wayne is a resident. His term, you just had a presentation from him. His term has expired and he's been waiting for the mayor since March of 2022.
Okay, so we need
So
to
let me
bring
go
that up, yeah.
quickly get my folder.
not exactly.
So that's why we're waiting,
So that's why we're waiting.
because we're waiting for them to.
And people
come
will
back.
stay on until
Um,
until
I see.
their slots filled. They don't like cycle automatically off because their terms are ended.
Yeah, so you can serve after your term expires until you're replaced. Usually, if people let us know that they're still interested in serving, we won't replace them until.
So I don't remember, so the Citizens Initiative Commission. Did we interview her? I don't remember.
No, because
We're still waiting.
we don't have enough for a quorum, so I
Ah,
didn't
so it
want
doesn't
to
make
get
any sense.
anyone.
Ah,
So I
I
did
see.
contact her and say I was holding it. I was
Okay.
waiting for more people. Anne lives on Brookline Plaza. I don't know if that's city or not city. It's 607. It's probably near the,
I think that
I
probably is-
don't have my phone.
I do.
Um,
So after we, then we'll still have.
No, it's a 7-member board total.
So there's 3 on already and 4 that need to be either reappointed or appointed.
Let me get to my.
I'm sorry. That
That's
would be
okay. No,
5.
that's why I always have this with me.
You have it in here.
Yep, but I can find it probably because I work with it all the time. I know what order they're in. She is,
Mm.
okay. So right now, Robert Conklin, was reappointed in January of 2022. His term expires in April of 25. We have Wayne Beeler, who reapplied, but who's waiting. We have Lee, who reapplied, was interviewed and is waiting. Will Sinfisi's term expires in 24. Nelson De Leon's expires in 25, and we just this year had a new member, Peter Rye, when we increased it from 5 to 7.
Right.
Mr. Rye was added. Now we have 1 vacancy and we have 2 term expirations. And we have 4 applicants.
To fill in those two.
Well, it's 3, but it's 2 reappointments and 1 new, because there's a vacancy from when you made it 5 to 7.
Got it.
So we never filled that 7th seat, and then Wayne and Lee are reappointments.
Would be.
Would be, yeah.
Yeah.
And then Dr. Ridley is the new. But because of the residency issue, we can't fill that 7th spot because we can only have 2 non-residents.
So we have the issue of the residency that needs to be resolved, and I think we've explained it as clearly as we could to the rest of the council body. It's a
Mhm.
matter of deciding what path we go to get this position filled.
Correct.
And then to get the mayor's office moving so we can get the ones that are, I guess it's Wayne's and so we can get those moving forward.
And then to address the non-resident, right, because we need to pick one out of the 2.
Right,
Should we do a council interview?
That's an option.
yeah.
So then
We can do that
decide
as
as
a
a group.
committee of the whole, like we did with the
Yeah.
redevelopment authority.
Yeah, I was very mindful of not saying a whole lot about the candidates because I didn't feel that that was fair if other people haven't seen them, because that's only my point of view. I would rather, usually when we've agreed upon and we move them forward, I'm okay about that, but not,
Now, can we properly vet every commission, board, authority, whatever, to make sure that we are in compliance in terms of residents versus non-residents and so on?
Yeah, that's what this other spreadsheet was that we looked at moving last week when I
Right.
went down. These are the people that are on this spreadsheet are the ones who are non-residents. And just to give you some perspective, I know there are accusations made at council meetings. Out of the 325-ish people that are on boards, authorities, and commissions, this is the short list of people who are not. So
the accusations.
Yeah.
Could you characterize what you mean?
during public comment, it's been said that most of the boards are full of non-residents.
Oh, okay.
So
This backs up,
this
this-
was,
yeah,
yeah.
okay, I know what you're
There's an
saying now.
exercise for me just
Good.
to Go
Okay.
through and see
To see.
exactly how many that was. And so that you all, if that is said again,
Okay, gotcha.
know the background.
So how many total people did you say are serving on boards?
300 and 325 volunteers we have with all
Wow.
these boards, authorities, and
And that
commissions.
number, you said how many are non-residents?
Let's short
20
this.
something?
39.
The ones on this, on
40.
the list that you're counting, these are all non-residents.
Yep, those are all non-residents. that
And you
are
have a
currently
reason
serving.
for it. Okay.
Yep, and that's
And how many
Yeah.
did you say are,
40.
no, but how many total?
Oh, it's 300-ish, give or take.
325 volunteers.
Yeah,
give or
Okay,
take.
so that's only like 12% of non-city residents about, and some of them, we need to have qualified
and it's
people,
because of their qualifications,
Right.
generally speaking.
right? Now, it was interesting because it was brought up to me by one of the other candidates that one of the applicants is a non-Berks County resident.
Yes,
Okay, I don't know whether that would have any impact on our decision-making or not for the planning commission.
So is that something we address with policy? Should they be Berks County at least, or does it? Or does it matter? Or do we go by expertise, by skill set, experience, like what they bring to the table?
Right.
How do we handle that?
We never asked about the county residency
Yeah, no,
charter.
and I mean, some of these trades professionals are from Lancaster County or, so they are beyond Berks as well. But again, they.
They serve a purpose though,
they
because we have a
run
voice.
Business who does work
Okay.
in the area or, they
So
have
they're
the
stakeholder.
expertise, yeah.
And I think the candidate that applied, that's non-Berks County resident, has some employment interest in the city, so that's. I just wonder when we talk with council and they can see that when they look at the applications, they can see where people live, what their background is and such.
And Marcia, to your point, as it relates to ARPA with diversity, equity, and inclusion,
Yeah,
I mean, something that we should probably be
well, and that's what I think is interesting
in
that
everything that we do.
I again, didn't want to speak too much to that. But I think that's something, if you interview candidates, you might be able to see some of the diversity and such that's brought forward. Yeah. It was funny, I was just working with my student intern from Kutztown, and she wanted me to give a breakdown of the equity issues within the staff of where I work at. And we had to look at, where we stood, and, it's always important to, it's always important to do that, yeah.
Something always be mindful of.
Social work, you tend to have more women employees than men, so. Okay, so does that help us with where we need to go there, Shelley?
Yeah, I mean, once I have some direction, I'll know. what
Yeah,
to do with that.
We'll talk about, that's on the agenda for tonight, so.
Yeah, the EAC. If you go back to the pending applications, the EAC has 2 new appointments, 2 reappointments. Two of those are in the mayor's office, 2 of them have come in. The Conversion Therapy Mental Health Services Board, this gentleman is not a city resident, but he is not too far outside the city, and he is a master in social work, so he would qualify.
Because that one meets as an as needed basis, right?
Yes, that one only meets as needed, and we hope we never need it.
I
It's
think
one
that
of those.
establishing
Yeah.
will help to
Right.
move people away from trying this.
He's from Exeter Township.
One.
Yeah.
Yarnell?
Oh, yeah, I
Yes.
know, yeah.
Didn't he apply? District 1?
Yeah,
Yes.
he did,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
The name that's
But then he
familiar, okay.
applied for the charter board, and then some things were needed to be resolved, and they were
Okay.
resolved, so.
Okay, yeah.
So we're still waiting for that one, right? Because you said
Yeah.
sent to
Yeah, that
me in
one's in the
August.
mayor's office.
Okay,
The electrical examining board is gonna be another one where you have more applicants than you have openings.
Mhm.
I don't believe any of those are residents, but they all have the qualification.
But this isn't like the planning where you have a limit on residency, you can have.
No, as a matter of fact, the limit on these is how many you may not have that are I said that backwards.
Yeah.
There's a specific number of masters that have to be on the board, and then there's another number that can be journeymen. So it's, and I checked all 3 of these applicants with the electrical inspector, and they do have what they would need.
Okay.
One is from Shillington. One is from New Philadelphia, which is a 179. I think that's Lancaster County, and the other one is from Exeter. So
okay, so will next steps then be interviewing?
yeah, I mean, if you want me to schedule them for a committee of the whole upcoming.
Well, I think we need to discuss this on the agenda for
Oh, we're
tonight.
gonna, right, you did say that, I'm sorry.
Yeah, before we schedule
So that we
that.
can.
Yeah.
I'm assuming everyone's gonna be okay with that, but,
Yeah, because it shouldn't just fall on 3 of us to
Yeah,
decide, right?
yeah.
Is there anything else?
Only if there's other questions about the residents or
I think we
the
got enough.
pending.
We're good? Alright. Awesome, thank you. Good night, everyone. It's only B who's on the other side, MBCTV, right?
Number.
Yep.
It's so hard for me to read this.
I had overlapping Zoom meetings. That's interesting.